In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. This lesson we are going to learn about the history of America in the 19th century, mostly about the social change and reform in the 19th century and the Western expansion, migration of people to the western part of America, which happened in the 19th century. So to start, first, let's have some definitions. First question is asking about democracy. What is democracy? Democracy is actually a political system in which people themselves choose the kind of government that they want to establish. It's like when people vote for a president, they go for elections, they can give their opinion to choose a president. That is called the democracy. Okay. Next word you're gonna go for, there are actually four words here, four important words, which is talking about the right to vote. The first word actually suffrage. Suffrage means the right to vote. Actually, suffrage means the right to vote. It's a very important word. Political election. Next word is spoils system. The practice of giving government jobs on the basis of party loyalty. That's called spoils system. The caucus system. Caucus is a meeting of supporters or members of a specific political party or movement. That's called the caucus system. And to secede, actually, is to withdraw formally from membership of a federal union, an alliance, or a political or religious organization. That is called to secede. So the important question that we have here is asking about in what ways did the United States become more democratic in the early 1800s? They abolished the property right to vote and expanded voting to white males. In this way, actually, expanding voting rights to white males was the expansion of democracy in the United States. Okay, let's move on to the next point we have. This chapter is all about reforming society. The word reform means a big change for something better. Now, the areas of reform was the women's right, one of the most important areas. And there were many other reforms in the 1800s in the United States, mostly from 1830 to 1850, which they call this age the age of reform. So the Beecher's family is called the family of reformers, actually, because they were very influential at that time to create those reforms. Women's rights were severely limited in the 1800s. So whose rights were severely limited in the 1800s? Women's rights were severely limited, right? Women could not own a property at that time. Women could not go to school, or they rarely received formal education here. So women were deprived of the right to vote. Number 3 here we have. And women could not hold office, as you can see. So talking about causes of social change and reform in the 1830s and 1840s in the United States. Regarding the political change, states expand voting rights for white males by lowering or eliminating property qualifications. Andrew Jackson wins the presidency in the 1828 election. And in the field of social change, large numbers of Irish and German immigrants entered the United States. A religious revival, the Second Great Awakening, sweeps the country. New religious ideas, philosophies such as Romanticism, Transcendentalism, Utopianism gain support. Newspapers become cheap and are widely read, helping create a common popular culture. So these were the causes of social reform. Now, what were the effects of those change and reforms in the 1830s and 1840s. So the first effect was that Andrew Jackson wins the presidency and supports the spoils system. So talking about the first question, here we have Andrew Jackson used which method of giving out government jobs? So the B is correct, the spoils system. So you should correct your file to answer and change the answer to B if you receive the file with A answered. Actually, the B is correct, so the spoils system. Political parties begin using convention to nominate candidates instead of the caucus system. Government becomes more responsive to public opinion. Jackson blocks South Carolina's attempts to nullification, pulls funds from the unpopular Bank of the United States, and supports the Indian Removal Act. Women began demanding more political rights. Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and others organized the women's suffrage movement and issued the Declaration of Sentiments and Resolutions. So what were the social effects of these reforms? Nativism gained support, leading to creation of the anti-immigrant American Party, known as Know Nothings. New American literature is written, including work by Emerson, Thoreau, Irving, Hawthorne, Melville, Poe, Whitman, and Dickinson. Religious enthusiasm helped trigger a series of new reform movements, including efforts to reform prisons, mental institutions, and schools. Efforts to end slavery gradually and through colonization gave way to rising abolition movement led by William Lloyd Garrison, Frederick Douglass, and others. So the movement, let's say abolitionist movement, was a movement that could end slavery in the United States. This is a very important point for you. So here are some sample questions. Number 2, the philosophy of who encouraged people to let their souls reach out to embrace the beauty in the universe. So the correct answer is transcendentalism. Under the guidance of religious leaders, the associations known as began to address social problems. Actually, associations known as benevolent societies. Correct answer. In his newspaper, the liberator William Lloyd Garrison called for the immediate of the enslaved people. So it's actually emancipation, which means setting them free, At the Seneca Falls Convention in 1848, the attendees were shocked when Elizabeth Cady Stanton proposed that women seek the right to vote. Actually, nobody expected that. So the goal of American Colonization Society was to move, which one? A, B, C, D. Which actually I've marked the correct answer for you here. B is correct. Move free African Americans to West Africa. So as you go ahead and study, we talked about the causes of Western expansion. The main actually cause was for people to find new land and large land for farming, because basically they were doing mostly farming stuff. So there are many other causes. I would like you to study them yourself. I'm just going through the most important ones. And here we talked about the effects of Western expansion. So as a result, Texas becomes American in culture, and Texas grow frustrated with Mexican laws, specifically the tariffs on trade with the United States, the ban on slavery, and the requirement that settlers become Catholic. There are some other factors too that I would like you to study them yourself. So I'm going through the most important ones here. So if you look at some sample questions here regarding this part, first question is: by the 1840s, travel is known as we're moving in wagon trains along trails to the west. So which one is the true answer? If you think B is correct, I would like you to double check your book. Let's go to number 2. In 1834, Mexico moved to which one? A, B, C, D. The missions, bringing them under civil control. It's actually to expand the missions, right? Question 3. Under the National Colonization Act, Mexico gave large grants of Texas land. So which one is it? It's B, Empresarios. So it's Empresarios received large grants of Texas land. And number 4, as a result of war with the United States, Mexico was forced to what became areas of American Southwest? It's to actually cede. And the term manifest destiny describes the idea that actually God wants the United States to control all of North America. Number 6 and the last question. Which group left the United States to establish a settlement in the West? So the group called Mountain Men actually was the group that left America to start a settlement in the West. There's some other important questions that I would like to think about it for the final exam. The first question is to think about the civil rights. What are civil rights and why did people start a movement to gain their civil rights? You have to remember the women rights that actually were deprived from them, and remember at least 3 of them. Know the meaning of abolitionist movement and what was the goal and what was the result of abolitionist movement, and study about the term segregation because we studied about that. And also as the last question, why do you think people migrate to new places? Okay, so you have to write your own reasons that why people migrate to new places and why did immigrants migrated to the west of America in the 1830s. Okay, so please answer these questions. I would like you to do your best on the quiz.